Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unlocking the profound insights inside Brian Klass's book, Fluke. Now, a lot of folks approach Fluke thinking it's just going to be this casual shrug at chance. A gentle reminder that life is random. But it's really not. This explainer is actually a cold, hard mirror for the life we constantly keep overplanning. It's a lens for anyone out there trying to just hustle their way to perfect certainty. So, we're going to transform this book into a real practice of self-mastery, looking at exactly how to refine our conduct under uncertainty, which, by the way, perfectly aligns with the exact foundations we build over at UpGoWise. So think about this for a second. What if your cleanest plan is really only a story you tell yourself after the fact? Look, most of us are walking around treating life like it's this perfectly tidy equation, right? You choose well, you work hard, and boom, you receive the proof of your brilliance. We just assume our success is this super clean sequence of effort and reward. Well, I want to challenge that assumption right now. We are going to look at how tiny, seemingly invisible contingencies actually shape outcomes that only later appear totally inevitable.
Section 1. Speed is not destination, breaking the scarcity trap. We live in a world that is absolutely driven by a scarce mind. You know the feeling? It tightens your throat, it pulls your chest forward, and it makes literally every choice feel as if a vital door is closing forever. You probably call it decisiveness. You tell your team you're just being bold. But if we're being completely honest here, speed becomes a control drug. It edits out baseline probabilities, and it makes an absolute total accident feel like it was your destiny all along.
That hunger for control you're feeling, it's actually just hiding from reality. It's hiding from contact with a chaotic world, and it's hiding from contact with luck. We have to make real contact with the fact that the clean, perfect story, well, it actually came late.
Section 2. The story versus odds. How hindsight is a thief.
Okay, so right after a big success, like a great new hire or a massive product launch, your mind immediately jumps in and claims it knew it was going to happen all along. It completely rewrites the decision file just to give you some comfort. But here's the thing. Narrative gives comfort, but probability gives training. In one world, the mind demands a straight road. It predicts and wins, and it claims absolute supremacy over the future. And sure, that flatters the ego. But then there's the second world, the world that prepares and updates. It holds the plan loosely. It breathes. That world, that's the one that actually saves the body. A narrow culture is always going to tell you that outcomes reveal your personal essence. Basically, that if you win, you're a genius. But what do outcomes actually reveal? Process, luck, timing, and system pressure. Brian Klass points out in Fluke how entire historical empires literally pivoted on a single random gust of wind or an unseasonable frost. You don't just study the winner and copy their surface pose, because when you really look at it, you realize their pose might just be the residue of incredibly good timing. So, I really want you to pause before your next strong claim. Just feel your body for a second. Is your jaw tight? Is your breath sitting way up high in your chest? Do your hands just want to grab your phone and force an answer right this second? Listen, that is not deep insight. That is just a nervous system asking for a verdict.
Section 3. Contact before perfect control. Finding truth in the drift.
Real depth begins when you stop asking what an outcome proves about your personal worth, and you start asking what else could be true. We really must shift our focus away from demanding internal certainty. Picture this, a dark biology lab. A camera is watching a fertilized egg divide under a microscope. And then one single cell splits just a tiny hair offline. There's no dramatic music, no alarm bells going off. The body just keeps building. A whole complex pattern starts from a tiny drift. The most decisive turns in your life, they're going to whisper. They will not shout. And here is the mistake we make over and over again. We wait for private certainty. We think, okay, I must feel entirely certain inside before I act outside. But waiting for perfect inner certainty just avoids outer evidence. The cognitive upgrade here is to replace private certainty with public contact. Let the world actually give you an answer before your ego builds a monument. And honestly, this is exactly the kind of contact we practice daily at UpGoWise.
Section 4. Stewardship over absolute supremacy. The cognitive upgrades.
Because chance exists, the fantasy of perfect command is completely removed. But the mature response to that isn't just passivity, it's care under limits. Brian Klass offers some really practical cognitive upgrades in Fluke to move us from constantly worshiping outcomes to calibrating our process. Upgrade number 1 is the base rate. Before you make a choice, look at the broad pattern. Check outside cases first. Delay your final verdict long enough to ask for this base rate, because if you don't, you'll just keep mistaking the rush of adrenaline for sound judgment.
All right, upgrade number 2, the cheap test. This one is absolutely vital. A cheap test turns your fear into actual contact. Instead of committing entirely to a massive assumption, like, say, assuming a complex system is going to behave perfectly in a chaotic environment, just ask reality for a small answer. Run a localized trial. Each small answer you get lowers the heat in your blood, and it really weakens that fantasy that you have to control absolutely everything.
And upgrade number 3 is the kill signal. This is simply a pre-named sign that stops a plan entirely. By clearly defining what will make you stop before you even begin, you provide a sturdy handrail for your mind. It completely protects you from the sunk cost drift, and it keeps you safe from the illusion that you can somehow force the future to obey you.
All of this perfectly comes together in what we call the decision ledger. It's simple. You write the date and the expected range of outcomes. You log your reason. You establish your kill signal. And then later, you conduct a post-outcome review. The entire point of this ledger is calibration. You're grading your process. You are absolutely not grading your mood or punishing yourself for a result that chance influenced. And that leads us to this kind of hidden ethic. Name the range, not the wish. Give the future edges. Write down a low, a middle, and a high path before the decision is finalized. Doing this forces your mind into a probabilistic shape. It completely removes the cheap thrill of false command, and it replaces it with clean, honest attention.
Section 5. The next clean chance. From control to stewardship.
This is exactly where the scarce mind finally transforms. We stop chasing one perfect straight road, and we begin to tend to our conditions. We build margins, we update fast, and we hold our plans with a much looser hand. Because look, chance does not erase meaning. It removes vanity. It strips away the lie that you authored every result entirely on your own. But it also strips away the lie that nothing you do counts. You are so much smaller than your grand stories of absolute control, but you are so much larger than your excuses. I really want you to take this question into one live choice today. And I don't mean a grand, abstract, philosophical choice, a real one. That email you're drafting right now, the budget you're reviewing, the risk you just keep putting off. Ask yourself, am I trying to control the future or refine my contact with it? Deep dive the philosophy at upgowise.com. Choose the next clean chance.